for Tony Morley. Oh, he missed it! It is! Peekaboo! Villa in the lead!
Hello, good evening, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to the Villa Forever podcast. I am your host, Chad Williams. Please subscribe, and you can follow me on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Let's spread awareness of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Well, I have a very special episode in store for all of you this evening. It's great that I've organised it. I'll introduce my two guests. I'm joined by my special guest, Rob Warner, who is a kit designer, and he was a former fashion designer. Also, he contributed in designing famous kits, including Italy's 2006 World Cup kit, and including Olympic champions as well. Also, we have another special guest. We have Richard Sutherland on the show again, who is the host of the Villa Park podcast, where all of us will be giving you our thoughts about Aston Villa's 2024-25 Adidas home kit. And Rob as well will be providing expert analysis to analyse the new kit. It's great to have both of you on the show.
Thanks, Chad. Right. Really pleased to be here. Appreciate the invitation.
Yeah,
how are you?
Too.
All good, thanks, mate. Yeah, very good. Enjoying the rare bit of nice weather. I thought it was going to be October forever, but it seems like we've finally had a little bit of nice weather show up. How's things with you, Rich?
Very good, very good. I think you're just showing on the screen at the minute, Chad.
Oh, yeah. If you click off me off the layout to the second one, Lauren. What, like that? If you click the second one, Lauren, to next to it, it's got Chad Williams. Oh, yeah. Is that all right still, as it's saying?
Still the same. I don't mind not being visible.
Yeah.
Rich is a better looking lad than I am, so I bet I want to be on the screen.
You're too kind.
Let's get the three dots on the left side. What's the best thing to do then? Shall we remove one of you from the studio then?
Whatever you think, I am more than happy. Whatever works best for you, mate.
Yeah, okay. You will do that. Actually, should we click stop sharing for now? If we click the bottom. Sorry, everybody, for the inconvenience. I'm just checking this out. Yeah, try that. I'll remove you out, guys.
Oh, look, there's me. And there he is.
There we go.
Oh, there we are. Sorted. So, yeah, well, I've been really impressed with the new Aston Villa kit.
Yeah, I think it's a great looking shirt. I think my worry, I suppose, when it kind of became apparent that it was going to be an Adidas kit was, would we end up looking like West Ham? And I don't know whether that's just me showing my age, but I think a lot of the great West Ham teams back in the 70s and 80s were wearing Adidas kits. And so I think for me, with Villa having never worn it, it always felt like it might just look a bit weird. And I think just some of the little subtle nods that they've done to our past with the multiple stripes in the collar, for instance, which the club referenced when they were launching the new badge as well. That's obviously got the 2 outlines around it. There's little things that just feel very Villa. And then obviously the launch video as well was very, very Villa. So I think they've done a really good job of making it feel like it's ours and not just because of the badge that's on it. What's your take on it, Rich? Are you happy with it?
I really like it. Absolutely love it. I'm not really one for being too fussed about the kit or the being too hyped about it. I'll buy it for my son, but this one I have to say it's even captured my imagination. I think the Luke one, they did a great job with that one. And then I was similar to you. I was wondering, would they have that true claret color? How would they do it? Would it be kind of like a template kit? And I think it is that to a degree, but I think they've really done well with the color scheme. I think they've done well, like you say, with the nods to the 150 years and some of the traditions. And I can't get the brand power of Adidas. I mean, it is just crazy. You look at the coverage that it's got, and I don't know if anyone's seen, but it's Times Square today on an advert. It's just crazy. What
It's
Adidas,
incredible, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's one of my favourite Aston Villa kits. I think it's up there with the likes of Luke Roper. And this one's even better.
100%. I agree.
It's definitely it's a belter. But I think quite often with kits, they get judged by what the team achieves wearing it. So I think if we, fingers crossed, if we can find our way to get fairly deep into the Champions League and maybe beat a couple of the big boys along the way, then it will be cemented as a stone cold classic. But if we do a Newcastle and bomb out at the group stage, although they did beat Paris Saint-Germain, but then it might not be looked back on so fondly. But for the era now, it's cracking, and I can't wait to see the away and third kits with it as well.
Yeah. But when I think of Adidas, it's up there with the biggest brands, the likes of Nike and Puma. That's not prestige.
100%. I agree. And you've got Rob mentioned it there. And I can see the shirt behind you, Chad, with the Champions League ball on it. You just add that onto it. It's fantastic. And I think one of the things with last season's kit, which was okay, but I think that sponsor almost overtook it, like with the colours. And I think now I know it's not ideal having a betting sponsor, but it doesn't seem to dominate the kit or be anything to get garish or whatever in terms of colour scheme. So I think they've done quite a good job with that in terms of the font and the way that the size of the sponsor. So yeah, it's lovely. And as Rob said there, the away kit and the third kit, I know they stagger them like to get maximizing the sales. So we'll see what they look like, and I'm sure the anticipation will be built.
Yeah, Adidas, you're not going to go wrong with that. It's not going to go wrong. It's going to be a good shirt.
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't think so unless they decide to dress us like Tintin, like they did with Belgium in the. There was a reason to dress Belgium as Tintin. But yeah, I think the fact that they do things like that and the video that they've put out for us and the work they've done for Newcastle. So not even just thinking about the mega clubs, it would be easy to just look at Real Madrid, United, Bayern Munich, and say, well, of course they do a good job for them.
It's got elite teams.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, we're going to be at the tier below those big 5 or 6, just the nature of it. We don't sell millions of shirts just yet, but we're still getting taken seriously, which is testament to Adidas as a brand, but also to the club, because if we weren't headed in the right direction, then regardless of what links there are into the brand, we just wouldn't be being treated like this. So, it all starts on the pitch, really.
Well, Adidas as well. It's big on a global scale. Absolute massive.
Yeah, which again now, I mean, as Rich just mentioned, in terms of the advert in Times Square today, I think the money's so important in football now. As much as Brian used to say, money's not football's not played on paper; it's played on grass. But some of it's played on a spreadsheet as well now, unfortunately. And like you say, Chad, with the global reach of Adidas, it puts you in more stores around the world. It puts you in front of more people around the world. It brings in supporters, so the impact in terms of us being able to continue in the direction that the club's heading in, something like this only helps that. So it then benefits us and it benefits Adidas as a brand as well.
Well, having Adidas on the shirts, it really helps us going forward to expand the brand. It's something as Aston Villa fans we've always dreamed of. We never thought we would have Adidas on our shirts, but that dream's become a reality now.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a few brands that I wished we'd had on the shirts, but that was usually because I was working for those brands at the time. Selfishly, I was wanting to get stuck in and get my claret and blue crayons out. But unfortunately, I've never had the opportunity. But yeah, it's great to see with you referenced Puma before, and I think some of their work lately has been a little bit hit and miss, and that's not sour grapes from me having worked there previously. I think that seems to be the general consensus amongst football fans. So I'm glad that it's Adidas, because I would say over the last 2 or 3 years, putting any brand loyalties aside, they've done an amazing job of all the big clubs that they've hitting out and national teams. So yeah, it's great. Couldn't have worked out any better for us, I don't think.
Well, last weekend, we had a very special delivery. I ordered the new kit, and I got a Champions League badge to rub it into everybody. The Champions
League. Fair enough. And why not? Why not? Exactly. And as Rob said, if we can get a decent run in the Champions League, it'll be even better. And yeah, I just think everything has added to the reputation, the sales. We're going to get more people who aren't necessarily Aston Villa supporters who are going to see the kit, maybe buy it as well. I think setting it up with an exclusive with JD Sports as well, in different stores across the country.
Bringing in all the revenue.
Exactly. And I just think you're going to be, I live in Newcastle up in the northeast, and I haven't seen it in the northeast yet, unfortunately. They've got a Man United Adidas shirt, but they haven't got the Villa one yet. But yeah, as Rob referenced there, what they've done for Newcastle with Adidas up here is it's just the sales just go crazy, and they've just released their away kit. I imagine that pretty much everyone's bought the home and the away kit. So if you do that, replicate that with Aston Villa, whatever metrics they've got for sales to kind of hit different triggers, I'm pretty sure they'll hit that easily, and that's even without the training wear. I'm more excited for the training kit myself, and that's again like Adidas.
I'm going to get the training jacket
as well. Yeah, absolutely. And you just think people will buy 2, 3, 4, 5 items of kit without even thinking about it.
Yeah, definitely. And in the industry, and it's not unique to this industry, but we talk about incremental sales. What are the things that you can do to get people to buy more stuff, basically, to want more of it. And the power of the brand is a start, but the product's got to be good with it. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing, even just with the albeit fairly limited amounts of training product we've seen. Yeah, it all looks great. I'll be interested to see what the split would be if we were ever to find out across home, away, third, training, even the pro versus the replica version. How many people will have shelled out the extra and gone for the up-spec one.
I got Ollie Watkins on the back.
Well, that's it as well. People, I imagine so many people have the names and numbers on the back as well these days. Obviously that's rolled into one price a lot of the time now, and it makes it easier for people to get that. And you think so many people would have that, and looking at the font style, it just looks really stylish. I mean, again, I'm not one too much myself for buying the shirt and stuff, but absolutely. I mean, you can imagine dads, sons, daughters getting the full set.
Yeah, definitely. My little girl's about to turn 9, and she'll be getting a new shirt. Whereas historically, I've usually bought the one from the previous season because I can't. As much I probably shouldn't say this working in the industry, but I can't bring myself to normally spend 50 quid on a shirt that's not going to fit her by the end of the season.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I might make an exception this time out.
Are they keeping Ollie Watkins as number 11?
I would think so. Yeah, I mean, if they don't, they're going to have to refund quite a lot of shirts.
Refund, yeah. There's been a lot of scaremongering going on.
Yeah, I can't say that had happened. I'm interested in more really for me who's going to fill that empty number 9 shirt.
Have you into Felix maybe?
Well, I'd like to think so. I think that's somebody of that caliber really. And if we were looking at it just purely commercial terms and how many new people might buy the shirt, I think a lot of young fans these days have favourite players, perhaps even more so than favourite clubs.
Yes.
From playing FIFA and things like that. Wherever Mbappe goes, he'll sell shirts. Wherever Zlatan went, he sold shirts. Ronaldo, Messi, and players like that do make a difference. If you're a young kid in the US or in China or wherever else, then you perhaps don't have the same affiliations that those of us with a Brummie accent might. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I hope it's the right player for the club and for the team. On the last 2 showings, I think we need a central defender as well to go with it. A big name centre forward is always nice.
So Rob, I want you to get a background story about you. So how did your kit designing career start, and when did you get into it?
Oh man, I didn't really realise when I'd got into it until I was in it, if that makes sense, or I'll make it make sense now. So it was only once I'd actually started designing kits for a living that I looked back to my childhood and remembered that I used to, as a kid, my parents would buy me Roy of the Rovers, which I don't know if you're probably old enough to remember that, Chad, or not.
Probably not.
So it was a comic book that had a would-be footballing superstar, like a prototype Cristiano Ronaldo, I guess, Roy Race. After I'd finished reading it, I'd then Tipex out the kits and draw my own kits over the top. So that was the start of it, albeit I didn't realise that was potentially a career choice at that point. And then as I got a little bit older, I started taking an interest in design at school. Put on a charity fashion event at my school just to raise some money for Bernardo's. And as part of that, got a real interest in fashion. So at that time, it would have been like 1996, 97, applying.
The year I was born, 96.
Really? Yeah. That was the year I was applying to go to university. So I fell old.
Right.
When it was your age there, Rob.
Exactly. So I chose to study in Manchester because I liked Oasis, and I chose fashion because I wanted to meet girls. And as a 17-year-old, it wasn't any more complicated than that, to be honest. And even then, I didn't really realise that designing football kits could be a job. I mean, I guess it is because there are football kits, so somebody gets paid for doing it. But yeah, as a fashion student, I certainly never thought it was going to be me.
But you got a lot of experience working your way up on it as well.
That's a nice way of saying that I'm old as well. You can really going in with 2
hints again.
But yeah, no. Well, to be honest, I've not designed a kit professionally for 10 years now, because I did 13 years of kit design. So starting off with Lazio during the Yapstam era and kits around then, and then it worked into Cameroon and getting various kits banned by FIFA, then working on. All I can think about when I'm thinking of what years these kits are is like how old would Chad have been. So the first one was banned when you were 6, and then the next one would have been when you were 8. And then worked on the Italy World Cup winning shirt, and then from there had a little spell working within other sports. So that included designing for Ferrari Formula One, designing for Usain Bolt at the base.
That's interesting.
So yeah, it was a fun journey, and then stepped out of it for a little while, back into it with Umbro, working with Manchester City and England, Republic of Ireland. You know, some amazing teams there, and then really you can only, I guess, get so far working within football. There's only so many brands that you can work for, and I wanted to try something different. So in 2014, made the step out of football, and as much as I've stayed involved in it and with brands around it since, in terms of physically sitting down and putting pen to paper on kits, it's been a little while.
How long was you a fashion designer?
I mean, God, it depends who you ask. If you ask my business partner, Craig, he'd probably say I never was. But yeah, I mean, I still do it now just for other brands. But yeah, so I graduated in 2001 when you were 5. So I've had 23 years in the industry now. The first
that's a long time. That is.
It is a long old time, mate. Yeah. I think I've probably got.
What sort of brands? Different brands or different fashion brands?
Yeah. So originally 6 years with Puma. Did a few years with, or a short stint, with O'Neill, the surf brand. A few years with Umbro, and then worked for Lululemon in Canada, and then came back and set up a design consultancy with my business partner. And since then, we've worked with Adidas, Belstaff, Burberry, Dunhill, designed some wearable technology for Batman. So yeah, it's been been quite the varied career, really.
So you look a wide range.
Sorry,
a variety.
Yeah. No, it's kept me on my toes, but it's also probably led to premature hair loss and a white beard as well. It's not been easy.
Well, I'm going to have a little take a look at the new kit. We're going to get it up on the screen so everybody can look at it again. So I'll bring it up so we can analyze it. So that then we're going to share screen. Click the window as well. So go on, can you see that clear there?
You can.
Yep.
Kind of, let's talk about it then. So what is your overall thoughts on the new Aston Villa home kit, Rich?
I mean, I think, as I said before, I think they've got so many things right with it. I think the Adidas stripes and the claret, the claret color, I think is nice. I think there was some obviously controversy around the badge and the badge design, but I think it looks pretty good on there. And I know the authentic or whatever they call it, that's got a bit more detail on it. So I think they've got that right. The sponsorship looks the right size and doesn't dominate the kit. So for me, I think it's a good 9 out of 10, 8.5, 9 out of 10 for me. I think it's really, really nice, and it bodes well for the future.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rob?
I'd agree exactly with Rich, to be honest. I think just the blend of all the components together is really nice. I think from a sponsor perspective, it does make or break a shirt, really. And I think with that one, because the sponsors pay so much money to be on the kit, that they, to a certain extent, they get to determine kind of exactly what it looks like. Obviously, there's size limits that have to be adhered to, but in terms of colours and stuff, we saw it with Tottenham having a red sponsor, which
we did,
never would have thought would have happened when I was designing the Tottenham kit for Puma, and we wanted to put red labels and red hang tags in it. They wouldn't let us, and we had to develop it all in navy blue to go in there. So it shows that money talks. But obviously Adidas have got a lot of clout, so I would expect that they've had conversations with the right people about making it all work. But Yeah, I'd give it a.
It really stands out.
Yeah, the whole thing's good. I'd give it a solid 8. I think in year one of a relationship with a new team, you don't tend to go too crazy with the designs because you don't need to. The excitement's already there that it's a new brand. So I'll be interested to see what they start doing once we're kind of 2 or 3 years down the line, what they'll do to spice it up a little bit.
Well, I think the Adidas logo, when you see that symbol and the stripes, you know what it is straight away.
Yeah, definitely. Just out of interest, Rob, what would you say? What would you have done maybe to slightly improve it?
Oof, that's a good question. Do you know what? I don't really know. I think for a year one kit, and knowing obviously they're working off a template or a variety of templates for the different teams, and I think the little things like the fact that shard of fabric that's been a different color across a lot of the other teams that we've seen, they've kept that claret where they could have been tempted to have made it sky blue or white. They've been quite restrained with it, really. So I think for me, I'd probably revisit that question once the other two kits are out.
Yeah,
I think if they're just variations on a theme, if we've got white and claret and something else and white, that's just the same layout, then yeah, it might feel like they could have pushed the boat out a little bit. But if this one's been really traditional, and then the away kit, we'll do the job that needs to do, and the third one might be a little bit more style or fashion driven from colours, graphics, whatever it might be, then yeah, it'd be easier to judge it.
Well, a little look again. So I'll read a bit of the information about what it says. So our home kit is an elegance and stylish tribute to Villa's past and features a special Ivy 150th anniversary symbol. It's got elegant calligraphy. And also you go on the back of the shirt collar. It's also the new club crest. Includes sunny white shorts. And also, I can't see that right. Yeah, also you got the 1874 sign off. You got Adidas. You got the 3 stripes branding on the shoulders, which is traditional for Adidas. And you got also around the collar. So yeah, so I think it's the best Villa shirt I've ever seen.
Wow, that's big
Fair
talk.
Play. Fair play, Chad.
But yeah, it's a big cracker. I think actually, if there was one thing I would change about it, it probably would be the AV 150 on the back, which I get what they've tried to do with it. But I think if you're not a Villa fan that's aware of the story, I don't think it reads very easily. It kind of looks like it might say A1500 or A150U, or I think given that we're trying to appeal to a global audience, I probably would have made that a little bit easier to pick out. But really,
you know what I loved about it as well? The kit launch, absolute class.
Yeah.
Took us all by surprise a little bit. What was your thoughts when you first saw that, Rich?
Like you said, I mean, it just came through on social media, and it was just, what's this? And then you got Ozzy Osbourne in there, you've got Gabby in there, Tony Daly making a little appearance, obviously Geezer Butler as well. It was just loads of nice little touches, and I thought they did a really good job. And then the JD advert as well was really good with Jacob Ramsey. I just think everything about it has been really well handled. And to be honest, I know Chris Hex had a bit of criticism, and some of it justified, with kind of putting up prices and maybe not communicating that to the fans as clearly. But certainly in this, he definitely deserves a hell of a lot of praise for the launch and for creating this hype around the shirts. It's fun. He's done a great job.
But I liked about it as well. like Unai Emery video calling Gabriel Bonderhall.
Yeah.
Good idea. It's a real genius idea.
Definitely. I'm disappointed Gabby wasn't speaking Spanish, but can't have everything.
And Brunny speaking Spanish.
Take some doing. But yeah, I think you're right, Rich, in that the club have had a lot of flack, and rightly so in a lot of instances, like you say, particularly around the pricing, and the badge thing hasn't been particularly well managed, really. I think that, to use probably modern brand terms, the optics of it haven't been great. But yeah, the amount of work that goes into structuring one of these deals, pulling together the deal with
a lot goes into it.
Sorry?
A lot goes into it.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, the JD contract will have taken a lot of figuring out. They're refurbing and effectively, building a new store really at Villa Park. So there's absolutely loads going on. It's a lot of work, and there are going to be some missteps along the way. And I think it's important that for us as a fan base that we do try to be as sensitive and accommodating to what's going on. But then equally, it works both ways, and the club have got to be sensitive and accommodating to the local fan base as well, because as we saw during COVID, an empty stadium doesn't quite have the same appeal for an international audience.
But I think is eye-catching. It's very eye-catching. And the badge as well. The badge looks very unique and detailed. Looks brilliant.
I think what they've done well with the badge, and Rob might be able to speak to this a little bit more, is the way that they've set it up. It is detailed but fairly simple as well, and they've been able to transfer that across, and it's something that Chris Heck talks about, is transfer that across to slightly different colours schemes on different training kits or on the social media or wherever it is, and that badge translates across, and some of the other badges haven't necessarily translated too well, and this one seems to have got that right in terms of how it can be translated across different media forms and different pieces of clothing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. How it shows up, whether that's tiny as an avatar on Twitter or plastered across the front of a stadium or whatever. There's a lot of different things that have to be taken into account, and a lot of teams or brands that are designing for teams don't always take all that into account. They look at it full sized on a sheet of A4 or A3 paper, which is a white background, which isn't what it's most commonly going to be shown on in the case of Villa. And
you know what I like as well? The show the deeper claret. But it's more vibrant, this claret.
Yeah, it feels a bit more in keeping with what we've had in the past. I think when I've looked at collections of Villa shirts previously, it's been really apparent not just how much the badge has changed, but the different shades of claret. So
it's not deeper, not darker.
Yeah, we went through quite the spell there of having stuff that was really getting almost too pinky, purpley, whatever else. So I think that's probably helped us feel a little bit more Villa and a bit less West Ham, because the blue as well, it's important to get that right. And
what it is, you can see two of the shirts at the back there. You can see the difference in the colours with both of them. They've got last season's home shirt and the recent one. You can see the difference.
Yeah, definitely. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more consistency. Well, I would expect to see a lot more consistency, to be honest. Partly because this is going to be the famous phrase of a multi-year deal with Adidas, which, we've not always had that consistency before, but just Adidas as a business will be doing things the right way, because, they've got a division set up to kit out football teams that's bigger than most brands. So,
it's a nice tribute to the 150th anniversary.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. Although I've never seen pictures of it, but when I've researched Villa kits in the past, there is mention of apparently one of our early kits was piebald, which is effectively the pattern of like a Frisian cow, white with black blotches on it. And I've never seen pictures of that, but I've read that apparently was one of our early kits. So who knows? Maybe year 3 of the Adidas contract, we might come out onto the pitch looking like Frisian cows. Be a good opportunity to bring back Muller as a sponsor as well.
Yeah. I don't know how well that would sell, but you never know.
With the promo video, it really shows in Aston Villa what a big community and togetherness there is.
Yeah. I think that's going to be an important part of what Adidas are going to want to do is to be able to appeal to. We've talked about the global part of it, but Villa fans, whether they live right on top of Villa Park or live in Newcastle or Stockport or anywhere else, people that have travelled over land and sea to go and live somewhere else. I think having those little nods back to things that you're familiar with, stuff that if you know, there was other things in that video of like the away fan dressed as a traffic cone running in front of the car and stuff like that. That's just, most people just wouldn't recognise it. But there's a certain, not even all Villa fans would, but there's a certain section of fans that get it. And I think that's where having the dedicated resources that Adidas have got makes a difference, because they'll dig that little bit deeper. What were the standout moments for both of you in terms of the video? Was there anything that was, was it
as well?
A bit smaller?
Some of the humour, the good humour of Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when he shouted for his Preds, I think that was good. And I think Chad mentioned there when Gabby was on and he said, "I'm ready to play." I was like, "Yeah, you weren't ready. You weren't ready 6 or 7 years ago when you didn't want to do pre-season anymore." But he takes it all in good spirit. But yeah, I thought it was a nice touch, and I mean that's something like 5 million interactions just on X.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And that's not, you've got TikTok, you've got Instagram, you've got
LinkedIn, all social media,
everything out. You've got YouTube.
Yeah,
it would have gone so far. I mean, further than I think any other kit release that's been done for us. So it's got to bode well for the future. And it'd just be interesting to see what they do next for the away kit. Are they going to do something else? What else have they got in store for us?
I can't wait.
Yeah, I wonder if they would ever plan to use Duran, and they've had to can it on the back of the
spoiling don't need to make his ego any bigger, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Already thinks he was a band name.
Hungry like the wolf.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Well, Rob, I was going to ask you, so as a kit designer, what's the main things you look out for? And what are you trying to achieve?
Well, so you're really looking at you're trying to achieve 3 objectives. One is obviously to represent the club in the best way that you can. And obviously therefore the supporters as well with that. So you want those little details and things that people can relate to. Another one is to make sure that the athletes are wearing the best kit they possibly can. And that's why you get an athlete version, because somebody running around Villa Park for 90 minutes has very different needs than somebody perhaps walking around, Blackpool wearing a Villa shirt. And then the third one is obviously to create some positive benefits for the brand that you're working for when you're designing the kit. So bringing the magic of all those 3 things together, that's what you want to do. So I think a lot of the brand magic comes from being able to do a good job by the club and by the fans. And so that's, if Adidas had released a stinker of a kit here, I don't think they would get away with it just for being Adidas. No. They've got to do a good job of it. Nike didn't get away with it on the couple of occasions that people weren't very impressed with what they put out for us. So You know, there's nowhere to hide. So it really does just boil down to fit for purpose for the athletes, and then it's got to mean something to the fans. It can't just be a claret and blue T-shirt.
Because Rob, being a kit designer, it's an important responsibility.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think, you know, people like to talk, and I like to talk as well about some of the bigger teams that I've designed for or where my kits have ended up. But it's also, you know, every kit that gets designed is somebody's favourite kit or somebody's, you know, the last match they ever went to with their dad or whatever it might be. You know, every kit is meaningful to some person somewhere.
It's got memories.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes football kits so unique in terms of kind of the collective mindset of a nation or a group of fans or whatever. Is, you know, you see a football shirt and we've all got our own very important memories and things attached to every single kit. You know, my daughter's first game, or, you know, whatever it might be. See my dad crying outside Wembley after we beat Leeds the year you were born. You know, things like that are just, you know, you can't put a price on it. And those shirts unite all of us, and that's the power of football. And then the football shirt is just kind of bottled lightning in terms of reigniting those memories, really.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do as well, increasing shirt sales, good merchandise in any team is crucial.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we've talked about the training kit, but then you talk about the other accessories that Adidas might be able to capitalize on. You know, you're thinking boot bags or backpacks, you know, all that kind of stuff as well, to kind of increase the sales within the club shop. And you've already said it, Chad, you know, you see those Adidas 3 stripes or whatever, and automatically it adds that little bit of gravitas to whatever you're buying, or that bit of credibility to whatever you're getting. So you can just imagine, especially if Aston Villa do well, as Rob said, if we start the season off well, if we get a good couple of results in the Champions League,
it'd be brilliant.
The sales will go through the roof. So let alone what they're doing now. So it is, I think it's been a long time coming that we've had some huge brand come in and get involved with Aston Villa, and now we've got it. I think we really are taking advantage, much like Newcastle are up here in the northeast. And it's kind of interesting to see both of these clubs on a kind of a similar trajectory. And if hopefully, you know, we're the ones that kind of break that big six or whatever people like to say, and we continue to be consistent in there.
Yeah, I mean, what impact do you see up there, Rich?
It's just, I think it's just the similar. It's just that credibility piece, you know, with regards to having Adidas as part of your brand. And then they didn't really have too much of club shop presence. You know, you've got it's Newcastle City Centre, and you've got the Metro Centre, which is kind of like the Merry Hill Centre, that's in the Midlands, and you just see JD Sports just basically, you know, fully Newcastle United. It's just dominated the whole branding, and everything is that on kind of the Northumberland street. And then particularly a day like today where it's been really sunny, you kind of notice that, as I work in the city centre, you just notice so many Newcastle shirts out just walking. And it was like that, don't get me wrong, you know, it's a football Man City, but you just notice it more. And then they've, like I say, they've recently just released their away kit, which is quite different, to be honest. They've got a big, it's like NUFC, but like the club badge is different. So I'm interested to see if Adidas do similar, a different kind of club badge. I don't think they would, but
Rich, I want to ask you a question. What's it like being a Aston Villa fan in Newcastle?
It's not so bad for me, because I don't think I've lost the accent too much. So I think people are just like, yeah, well, you're from Birmingham, I can understand.
I never realised that.
Yeah. But my son, he's a Geordie, so he's an Aston Villa supporter, but he's got a Geordie accent, so he's probably going to suffer more than me, because he's going to have to go through school with being the only Aston Villa supporter. But yeah, it's not too bad. I think the last few years we've had that little bit of a secret rivalry, but I think we've kind of been on a similar path lately, and I think there's a bit of mutual respect between the two clubs. And we never win at St James's Park, so that's we're kind of not a risk to them at the moment. So that doesn't do me too bad.
Yeah,
I mean, Rob, I've got to say to you,
I live up in Stockport, so it's a similar thing for us. That I mean, my little girl's the only Villa supporter in her school. They're all 16. So I mean, it was the only day we were thankful of bad weather during the summer was the day after Watkins scored for England, because we both went in with our Villa bobble hats.
Absolute hero.
We were getting people just, really enjoying it, smiling, because they're used to seeing us. Yeah, kind of occasionally wearing it on Monday mornings, more often the last 12 months than ever before. But yeah, it's nice to.
Well, Rob, I was going to say, as a kit designer as well, do you want to expand the brand and be different, stand out for the others?
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of it kind of plays back into how well the club's doing, and year on year, as the team continues to grow and win things and regularly beat the other big clubs and whatever, that's where it snowballs. I think there's a certain amount you can do where you might be able to entice the guy who normally buys the home shirt to also buy the away shirt, or the girl that started going to matches that wouldn't normally buy a shirt might decide that she fancies one because the collar's a little bit better than it would be usually. There's plenty of ways of adding little bits and pieces to it, but in terms of making a real difference, then I think that really a lot of that is going to be in the hands of Monchi and Unai Emery. We've talked about João Felix. If he was to show up, or somebody of that
100%.
caliber, that'll sell a load of shirts. If he starts playing really well, it'll sell even more shirts.
We'll get excited.
Yeah, exactly. So, I can do the best job I possibly can with my pencils and my wax crayons, but ultimately, if we're getting slapped every week, we're not going to sell any shirts.
Well, I'm going to let you know what rating I'll give the shirt. I'm going to give it a solid 10.
Fair play,
for next season, Adidas.
Yeah.
Nowhere to go from me. A class ceiling in Chad's world. Perfect.
Well, I'm going to my final question. So this might be a tough question. Both of you might not be able to answer this. But in your opinion, what is the greatest football kit of all time? International or even domestic?
I'm going to let Rich go first so that I can have a think about it.
Yeah.
Catch that hot potato.
Cheers for that. I think when Rob was talking about Villa kits and famous ones and the memories, I really liked that 92-93 one where it had the lace up collar. It was kind of like a Back to the Future kind of like old revisiting the old style kit. I don't think you can get away from, in terms of like favorite kits, the Brazil kind of classic yellow. I don't think you can really get away from that. And I really identified with the 2002 World Cup winning team. I think that Nike kit and everything that was associated with it, it was like, I don't know if you remember, Chad, but it was like Jogger Benito, and it was
Roberto Carlos.
Yeah, and they were doing all the Ronaldo for the airport and doing all that, and I think that was when the kit became like a part of the branding and everything, and that's when it exploded. And I think that kit, there was a yellow one, and then they had the blue one, which was the second kit, and I had both of them. And that for me probably is the is one of the best kits I think that's been done, because I think it kicked off all of this kind of adverts and making kit launches really big.
Yeah. I
really enjoyed it. I did. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed the end of 2002. The Nike advert.
Yes.
That was a brilliant advert. I remember that still.
Yeah, it was class. I thought they were great kits as well, but I won't say too much because my business partner designed them.
There you go. So I've given him.
Yeah, exactly. Castle as well. See, I don't want him getting an overinflated opinion of himself. It's easy done with the Geordies, isn't it? But yeah, I think for me, and every time I get asked this question, I usually give a different answer because it is a tough one, and I think the consistency in the answers that I give is that it's normally something that's distinctive. So Rich has said Brazil, it's not just the fact they play in yellow, but it's accented with green and blue and white. It's really, really unique. And so for me, I always love teams that have got kits like that, and whether that would be Peru. I've been lucky enough to design for them with the sash across it, River Plate, similar, Boca Juniors. Even closer to home, you look at a team like Blackburn, and it's just, it just stands out as being so unique. I mean, Bristol Rovers fans would probably argue with me about that, but just those ones that they just speak back to the real origins of football.
What it is, you always remember them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think today's answer is probably going to be Maradona era Boca Juniors of like the late
good choice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you all that I got mine. Well, first of all, this might sound a bit biased, not just because of Emi Martinez, but Argentina 2022 Qatar World Cup. And I thought that was a memorable World Cup. I mean, Adidas as well. They did a very good job on the Argentina shirts.
Yeah. Well, that again, classic design in it, classic colours. Yeah.
Then also I got remember the Arsenal, the last season at Highbury, 2005 and 06. The maroon Arsenal shirt.
Oh yes.
I bet you only like that Villa colours.
Yeah, that's probably the reason. Yeah. I remember the gold writing.
That's right.
With O2 and Nike, that was it, wasn't it?
Yes, that was nice. Yeah.
Then my final one that I've got is this is Aston Villa, 1982, the year we won the European Cup.
Yeah.
That one's really iconic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would be surprised to see that show up again at some point in the next couple of years, or at least a variation of it.
Yeah, I agree. Also, Rob, I'm glad to have you on the show this evening as well.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure.
I've added you to my collection. Great guest.
Proud to be part of it, mate. You've had some great people on, including Rich tonight as well. So, no, I really appreciate being invited on.
Yeah, Rob as well. Could you spread the word about my podcast?
Absolutely.
Well, that's on it. Before we finish, we have a few comments. I'll pick out a couple. Thank you all for your nice, kind support this evening. Oh yeah, let's just have a little look. See what's the recent one. Oh yeah, go for that one. Yeah, we got Kate Webster. Thank you. Great show. Thank you for tuning in to see what others there is. And Chippy Biney FC. Yes, Defo. Top design. Then I've got just a couple of more. Kate Webster, yeah, agrees with that as well. Michelle Maynard, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Yeah, good shout. That's a very good shout. Yeah, we'll read one more comment. Michelle Maynard, cannot wait for the training kits to come out. Yeah, I'll be getting one of them myself. Well, yeah, I think that is all we got time for. And thank you both for being excellent guests.
Thank
no
you.
problem at all, Chad. Thank you for having
pleasure.
us on. And yeah, Rob, great to meet you, mate. Great to be on a show with you.
Thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, please remember to subscribe. If you haven't, give this video the thumbs up. Give this a share as well. And even give us a review on even Spotify. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section as well. Thank you so much, Rob and Rich, for your time. Alright, I'm going to wrap up this episode with Up the Villa.